Hi and welcome back to Joe Talks Cars and welcome to another video. Welcome back my Cayman S to the channel. And in today's video, I just wanted to talk about some of the things that I wish I knew before I bought my Cayman S. The first thing I want to talk about is, of course, bore score. This car suffered with bore score. Regular viewers of this channel will know the full story, how it came about and how it ultimately cost me over £10,000 to put right. That bill on a car that only costs 14 is just terrible. And it can really put you off a car and put you off a brand. It's something that I knew little about before buying this car. Yes, I knew it was fairly common. What I didn't realise is how common it actually was. So bore score is the main one, of course. And it's something that I did know about, people told me about it, but assured me that it affected only a couple of percent of cars. You're talking 2 or 3% if you go by the forum numbers. That number, in my opinion, is totally incorrect. These cars have a design flaw in the engine, which means at some point, they are all going to be susceptible to bore scoring. There are certain things you can do to maybe prolong the engine, but ultimately, you're going to have to rebuild it. That's not fun, and it's certainly not cheap. It's something that I wish I looked into a little bit more before buying this car. And if I'd done my research and looked into this a little bit more, I would have found out that the way to avoid bore score is to get the 2.7, which leads me on to the next thing that I wish I knew about my Cayman, is that the S probably isn't actually that necessary. You can get away with the 2.7. The difference in power is only small, and the little enhancements that the S has over the 2.7 it's not really a great deal. You get bigger brakes, more power, and ultimately that S badge on the back. But realistically, none of that matters. When it comes to running one of these cars, if I didn't have that £10,000 bill at the start, this would have been an incredibly cheap car to run. And it's something that I wish I looked into a little bit more before pulling the trigger on this gorgeous Cayman S that I currently have. Which brings me on to the next thing that I wish I knew. And that is, looking for a low mileage example is not actually very high on the priority list. It's something that I looked for, of course, when buying this, trying to find that low mileage, perfect example of the car. Later to find out that actually low mileage actually increases the risk of bore score. And what you want is a high mileage car with a really good service history. This one was actually a low mileage example, had good service history, but ultimately it ended up with bore score. So really I didn't achieve anything there. If you can hold out and get one like this that's already been rebuilt, that should prevent any future problems with the dreaded bore score. Next on my list of things that I wish I knew is, of course, modifications. Now, if you suggest doing any modifications to your Porsche Cayman, or any Porsche for that matter, you'll have people queuing outside your house with pitchforks. It's not a popular thing to do, and I don't understand why. I've tended to put it off. I've not really touched this car until very recently, putting an exhaust on it and also putting the AliExpress head unit on it. But it's a shame. It's a shame not to modify these cars, and it's something that I put off for almost 2 years just based on what other people think. Oh, you can't modify a Porsche, Porsche know best, blah, blah, blah. It's not true. These cars are incredibly good fun to modify. There's lots of different bits and bobs out there, whether that be head units, exhaust, suspension components, there's all sorts. And they are most certainly worth modifying. I have a few more plans with this car. We're not talking about anything crazy, but I do think it benefits from a few small modifications. Which leads me back to about the 2.7 being a genuinely good alternative. You could buy a 2.7, have no issues, no worries about bore scoring. You could then spend the money you would do rebuilding an S, which you ultimately will have to, and you could plough that into modifications. You could make it handle better, you could put bigger wheels on it, suspension upgrades, you could do exhaust. There's so much you can do which would ultimately make it better than the S you were originally looking at. So it's definitely something I would consider, is modifying these cars. Don't be put off by what other people say on the forums. It's your car and you're to enjoy it how you want to enjoy it. That's the main thing. And the final thing I want to mention is that these cars are a cult. Once you get behind the wheel of one Porsche, you're stuck for life. Where do you go from here? You stick with the same brand, but realistically, once you've owned one Porsche, that's it, you're trapped. And that could be financially ruinous. I know it has been for me, but it's something that I wish I knew beforehand. I'd heard about it, I'd heard about people being obsessed with Porsche. I liked them and I appreciated them, and it wasn't until I actually bought one that I realised, yeah, I'm never getting out of this car, and then when I do, it's going to be straight into another Porsche, which is an exciting but also terrifyingly expensive prospect. And it's something that I wish I knew before buying it. This car does not simply tick a box, fill a void for a bit, tick off that bucket list thing to do in your life. It doesn't do that. What it does is it makes you realise how good these cars are and that nothing else will do. There's so many other sports cars out there. Nothing quite hits like a Porsche. But anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this rather quick video to give you an idea of what it's like when you do finally buy one of these cars. I know a lot of my subscribers do say they're looking to buy one of these cars, and I just wanted to help those people avoid the pitfalls, or maybe give them some advice on what to look for when buying their Cayman S or Cayman 987. It's a really exciting car and I absolutely love it. It's going nowhere soon, and I've got some huge road trips planned. So if you have enjoyed this video, then please consider hitting that subscribe button. It really helps the channel and it means you won't miss a single upload. But anyway, that's all from me, and I'll see you next time. Bye.